All right. Good evening, everyone. Just waiting for you to join. We have a very special episode of Mind the Mental Monday tonight. So I'm excited about it. So as you're coming in, please drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I hope everybody is having a great day. I hope you have remembered to mind the mental. I hope you've remembered to be intentional and proactive about your mental health. That's one of the things that we definitely want to encourage here at Mind the Mental Monday. And so I'm looking forward to tell me about your day. Tell me how your day has gone. And we will get started in just a minute. Good evening, Elder Stephen. Good evening. Good to have you with us. And I am going to add my special guest tonight. We're going to talk about a topic that I think is, hey, Crystal. We're going to talk about a topic that I think everybody can identify with. We're going to talk about clutter and the impact that clutter has on our minds. And so I'm very excited about this tonight. I'm more excited about my special guest that I have here, Miss Janet Taylor. She's also known as Janet the Organizer.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, Janet. How are you tonight?
I am, I'm doing great.
Awesome. Awesome. It's good to see you. We're bear with us as we kind of get set up on both Facebook and Instagram Live, because there's some people who listen on Facebook and some on Instagram Live. So we want to be here for both audiences. So bear with us if we have a little bit of technical glitches going on here, but I think we're going to be okay. Are we good? Good, Janet?
Yeah, we good. We should be good. Do you hear echoes?
I don't think we can hear you.
Okay. Do you hear an echo?
I think we're having some technical difficulty here. Hang on with us, guys. And go get some other people to tune in while we're kind of getting our while we're getting our technical act together here. Because this is a good topic. Okay. I feel like I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Can we hear on Facebook? I think we can hear on Instagram. Can we hear on Facebook? Team, let me know in the chat if you can hear us on Facebook. Okay. All right, great. So they can hear us on both. All right. All right. This is great. So good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Reverend Benita Weathers. I am the host of Mind the Mental Monday. I'm excited to be here tonight. I took a little bit of a break last week because I needed to mind my mental. And just as I encourage all of you to make no apologies about needing to mind your mental sometimes, I make no apologies for it. I took the day off. I needed it. But I'm here today. So, and I'm in a much better space than I would have been last week. So, so I'm very excited to introduce to you my special guest, Miss Janet Taylor. And I'm going to read her bio because it's so impressive. And she's you will see why she is the perfect person to talk to tonight about this topic of decluttering. I don't know about you guys, but I have issues with clutter. And if you go follow at Janet the Organizer. Follow her on Instagram. Every Tuesday, she does Toss It Tuesday, where she encourages, she'll take one item, for you to toss. And every time I see it, I'm like, why is Janet in my house? Why she's like all in my closet. She's all in, she's just all over my house and she's never been here. So I'm excited that she's going to be able to help us get organized, because when we're not organized in our physical space, it really does impact our mental space. All right, so let's me just give a quick introduction. She founded Totally Organized LLC in 1994, with a track record of government contracting and serving notable clients such as Les Brown and Diana Williams. Her firm was recognized for 3 consecutive years as a top minority business by the Philadelphia Business Bureau. In more recent years, Janet has expanded her expertise as a corporate trainer, leading webinars for Fortune 500 companies. Her prowess in the field earned her the title of Clutter-Free Queen, that she is, when she appeared on the Rachel Ray Show in April 2018, and has also led to appearances on HGTV's Mission Organization. As a sought-after speaker, Janet has shared her knowledge with audiences of events such as IKEA and the Philadelphia Home Show. Her own home even caught the attention of Apartment Therapy in 2020 for its impressive organization. Janet is also the host and producer of the popular podcast, Got Clutter, Get Organized, which has topped the charts as the #1 Inside Home and Garden podcast and the #1 Home and Garden podcast overall. She lends her expertise to the advisory board for the business division at Pierce College. So let's welcome my special guest, Miss Janet Taylor. Yay! Yes, we can hear you, and it's good to see you this evening. Yes. Thank you for saying, because you have so much to share, and you have your own audience, and so I wanted to share a little bit of what you do with the folks who follow me, so that they can go and follow you and learn how to get organized. And it's something I'm still working on. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I just read your bio, but in your own words, what sort of got you in the space of organization and wanting to help others who might need help just getting organized? Wow, that's amazing. So is there a certain kind of organization that's your expertise? Is it more spatial organization or business organization? I mean, there are like lots of different ways to organize. What would you say is sort of your specialty, or do you do it all? So what are some important nuggets that you might share when you're talking about organization? And especially as it connects with our mental health. I know that for me, when I have a lot of clutter in a particular area, and especially if it's in my workspace or a space where I spend a lot of time, it just does something to me. Um, okay,
Okay, can you hear echo?
I can't.
Okay, all right. So, in relations to mental health and organization. So basically what this organization does, it really causes us sometimes to get overwhelmed because we
Mhm.
see everything. We get overwhelmed, we get shut down, we can procrastinate. Sometimes it can even be a distraction in
Yes.
regards to, what we really need to focus on, and sometimes just seeing all those piles just kind of distract us to the point where, you know what, it's sunny outside. Let's go outside and, and basically just play. But that's what it does. It overwhelms us, which causes procrastination. And sometimes it can just be a distraction because when you are coming specifically into maybe a workspace and you see all those piles, you're not really focused on what you need to do. You're kind of distracted by all of that other stuff.
Yeah, and I know that for me, so there was a point at which I had made a decision because everything starts with a decision and intentionality to get it done. And so I decided last year over my Christmas break that I was going to take one space and declutter it, and that space was my closet. And so I did. I decluttered my closet. I was able to give away some clothes that were very nice, but that I can no longer wear. And
Mhm.
I decided to just be honest with myself and say, Benita, you're not going to get back into those. And even if you do, you're not going to wear those anymore. So they've just been sitting in your closet for however many years. I don't even want to say how many years because some of them have been in there for quite a while.
And that's all right, and that's okay. But the point is you made a decision and then you just acted on it. And what a lot of people don't understand is that's the start. The start is like, you know what, I'm gonna do something. And like you did, you just said, you know what, I'm gonna work on my closet. Because what happens is a lot of times people get so overwhelmed. It's like the closet, the kitchen, the bathroom, the garage, the this, the that, the other, to the point where
Mhm.
they just don't even move forward. So I commend you for just sticking to one, just doing it. And also sometimes just knowing it's okay to let go, because what you did was you opened up yourself to, more space, but also possibly more things, but also you were able to give somebody something that maybe they didn't have, and you gave it a new home, or in your case, a new closet.
Yes. Absolutely. And so, but the other thing though that I noticed, so I decluttered the closet and it made me feel so much better because I felt like I accomplished something that I had been wanting to accomplish for a long time. So I went from the closet, then I went to my little side of the room. I don't even want to go there with my little side of the room. And I kind of got that all tidied up. But what I have noticed is that in some ways the closet has remained organized, but
Hmm.
my little space has not.
Okay.
And so I feel like I've kind of fallen back a little bit.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's kind of a result of just dealing with just having a lot of other things going on in my mind, things that I have to deal with within myself. But what I'm recognizing is that the more I allow the clutter to stay there, the more the more weighted down I feel.
Mhm.
And the more I feel almost immobilized in a way. And so it's, I get to a place sometimes where it's just like, ah, okay, I have to stop and I have to I just have to kind of retool and just like, okay, just start all over again if I need
Mhm.
to.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
okay, take that again, that one space at a time and just say, okay, I need to just take a minute. It's gonna be longer than a minute, but to just tidy up. And that just makes you feel so much better mentally.
Mhm.
What has been your experience, working because you have a lot of experience actually working with people, going into their homes, helping them get organized. What are some things that you have learned in your experience in working with people? What does it do for them when you're able to help them to get decluttered?
Well, it reduces their stress. It reduces the anxiety. It makes them feel more in control of their space and in their life. And
Mm,
also, one of the things that I teach them that it's an ongoing process because life is going to happen. So then the piles are going to develop. You may not have the time or the energy to deal with them, but part of organization, and one of the things, as I say, it's not a destination. It's not that you're going to organize a closet and it's going to be like that for the rest of your life. It's a journey. So you're going to organize your closet, but then you're going to have to create habits and routines where you constantly go in. Maybe, you can't do it once a week. Maybe once a month, you just kind of clean those areas that need, a little kind of maintenance, I call it.
mhm,
And sometimes it's also what I tell people is looking at what are your habits? Because a lot of people, the habits now are they just come home and they just take the shoes off. And that's nothing wrong with that. So if that's your habit, why not have a shoe rack by the door? So
mhm.
therefore you don't have to worry about all those shoes, all those pile of shoes from the big ones to the little ones.
Right.
Or if you're in the habit of, you want to hang your keys or your hat by the door, then create a system for that. Or if you like things visual, create systems for those things so that it's easier for you to maintain. And I think the best thing is to staying organized. If you take something out, you just put it back. That's it. Don't put it down. Don't put it over here. Just put it back because then that disciplines you to have at least a clear space. And also, whether you're working with somebody or living with somebody or family members, they can find stuff because then it's, they're getting those little communication where's this, where's that. So those are some things that you could just do.
That is a pet peeve of mine. And I get upset with myself when I don't follow it because I grew up with my grandmother saying, my mother's mother used to always say, a place for everything and everything in its place. And so I grew up with that. And I'm the type of person that like I want to be able to, if it's dark, if I close my eyes, I should be able to put my hands on things because it has a home. But when you're in when you live with others, not everybody, might will follows that. And so, it can get a little harrowing when you're sharing a space. So talk to us a little bit about that, about what do you do in instances where the space is shared? And I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who knows that I can be I can be a little messy sometimes. So I don't want it to come across like I'm talking about people that live with me. I'm really talking about me too. Uh, but how do you manage when it's a shared space?
And a lot of times it's just having conversations and seeing really how each other likes things. For example, a woman came to me and she said, "You know what, Janet? My husband, he just needs to change." And I said, "So what does he do when he comes home?" She said, "He puts his hat here, he puts his keys here." I said, "Well, do you have a system by the front door so he can put his hat and he can just hang his keys?" And she said, "Huh, no." And then sometimes with kids, It's making systems that are practical but
Mm,
fun, because when they're small, you can have short, you can have things on a lower level where they can just kind of put things in baskets and bins and containers. And some people have shared, I mean, fellow organizers, sometimes just make a game out of it. Who can do it the fastest and put all their stuff away?
mm.
So a lot of times it's just looking at everybody, how they function, and then creating a system around that where everybody in the household can be happy.
That's so important. The piece about the communication piece is really important because, it can really tear a household apart if everybody is sort of disjointed and not on the same page, about where things go or how things should be. One of the systems that I created that I had been trying to create for years, and it wasn't until you spoke at a so Jan and I were both members of the International Association of Women, and she spoke at one of their events in Philadelphia. And she talked, she just talked about organization and gave different tidbits of ways to organize. So one of the things that I've had the hardest time with over the years is mail. Mail will come in and literally it would come in and go on the kitchen table to a point where there was like piles of mail. Like we couldn't even eat at the kitchen table. It's like so many. It was just piles of mail, and I could never get a handle on it. I kept thinking, I need a system for this. And then finally, I figured out, oh, I saw these little mailboxes. So I got a little hanging mailbox thing, I think from Target or Walmart or someplace, that hangs on my pantry door. And everybody has their own slot.
Mhm.
And the mail comes in, we separate the mail in the slots. Everybody is responsible for cleaning. So now I've got to get to a place though where people clean out their mail slots, because that's a whole nother story. So then I'm like, okay, well, if it's not cleaned out by the end of the month, then I'm gonna clean it out. So
That's a good
um
way. That's a good like system to have. It's like, look, 30 days after that is going.
yeah. And a lot of that stuff, like, the advertisers and all of that stuff, it's just like to put it right in the recycle can. Like that's it. Because we're not going to refer back to it. We're not going to use it. We know it. So just, but the whole putting things
Excuse
back where
me.
they belong, just putting them back.
Hmm.
I mean, because what can happen is before you know it, like you've taken something out of a cabinet, it's just as easy to put it back in the cabinet as it is to set it on the sink. Like
And the
it's just as easy.
keys,
So
those
just put it back.
pens, all those things, all
So
those things.
so you know, what advice can you give to people who find just do you need to get some water? Are you okay?
I got water. I got halls over here. I got everything over here, people.
All right. All right. Making sure you're okay now.
Oh yeah.
Um, but what advice can you give to people who find, and I think we touched on it a little bit,
Hmm.
but who just find it daunting, the whole process of decluttering? And at what point would you recommend that they bring in somebody like you, to help them out?
So, well, to answer your second question is if they feel o- truly overwhelmed, like they just don't know where to start, I think it's always good to at least start with a conversation with an organizer. Just start with a conversation. Um, but also if you've had timelines, for example, maybe you're getting something renovated, within so many weeks or whatever, and you need, and it's a lot and it's overwhelming. But even just to get started, I always tell people, first of all, you just need to first pause. If you're feeling
Mhm.
overwhelmed, just pause, just breathe, put your hands over your heart, but then plan. because a lot of times you know what you want to do and you just go in and do it, but just plan it out. And by planning it out, it could be just looking at the space, saying, okay, I want the closet organized, or I want to be able to drive the car in a garage, and just plan it out. And then plan out little, I call them sessions. You can call them organizing hours, whatever, but just like, for example, something big like a garage. The first thing you really should do is you should take out everything that is either trash or recycle. That could be just a session,
Mm,
then another session, because then you've completed that. It maybe have taken a couple hours, it didn't take all day, and you're feeling good because you accomplished something. And then the next time you go in there, get rid of all the things that need to either be donated, sold, given away, etc. And it's really having an honest conversation. And really, a lot of times, sometimes people need to bring in an organizer when they have a hard time getting rid of things, and they need somebody just to walk them through it. For example, you might be keeping a tricycle in the corner, that maybe your youngest child has used to ride around in, but your youngest child right now is on their second car. So it's time to let some things go. And sometimes you just need somebody to really kind of walk you through that. So once you've gotten rid of the trash, the recycles, and you've gotten rid of everything that you don't want, then you can actually go in and organize what's left. Because I tell people, always purge before you purchase. Because a lot of
mm.
times you go in and you see everything, you think you need 1,000 hangers, and you need 40 containers. But in reality, Benita, 80% of the stuff we keep, we never reference again. And we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time.
That's a fact.
That's a
I I
fact.
I can I
That's a
can
fact.
vouch for that.
That's a fact. Because
I
we always got the favorite sneakers we're gonna put on, the favorite coat. We're gonna have this, granted, we have our collection of handbags, but we always have that one we use all the time.
I can't tell you how many handbags I have, and versus the number I actually use, and in particular on a consistent basis. What do you how do you manage though people so when a part of the clutter is something that is maybe was handed down to you by
Okay.
a loved one who was
Hmm.
passed on,
Hmm.
and that item makes you feel closer to them, but at the same time, it's an eyesore now. It's, you can't really do anything with it. It's just taking up space. How do you manage that?
So when my mother passed away, I got everything because I'm the only child. But I had to tell myself I can't keep everything. So of course,
Mhm.
getting rid of her clothes was easy because we wouldn't wear the same size. I kept all her jewelry for a long time, but then really I realized, what, those clip-on earrings that she has, they just, and I found a friend who loved that style of jewelry and loved clip-on earrings, so that was easy for me to give away.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and then I just learned that there were certain pieces that I decided I was going to incorporate. And sometimes I tell people that incorporate what you can into your decor, etc. For example, my mother, she used to entertain. She had these beautiful glass sandwich, I used to call them sandwich trays because you put your sandwiches on them with a little
Mhm.
cup that matched. That's not me, Benita. Okay, that's not me. But what I
That's
did
not your
was,
ministry.
no, that's not me. It's like, I mean, you will have a plate when you come over, but you're not gonna have the glass ones. So what I did was I got rid of, it was a set of four. I got rid of three. I kept one, and I put my perfume bottles on it. So sometimes it's incorporating things, but really is looking at, is there somebody else who could really truly love these things? And also sometimes it's looking at things, because one of the things that my aunt told me, she said, Janet, I want you to look at all of your mother's dishes. And I didn't understand what she was talking about at the time. She said, no, I really want you to really look at. So that set of six became a set of two because of the chips and this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
So it was constantly just looking and just realizing, do I have space for this? Is there somebody else who could really, truly, appreciate this? It might be another relative, it might be a friend, But there's always somebody. But you can keep
Mhm.
what you really, really want. I mean, I have these yellow gloves that she wore, and I realized she wore them in a wedding, and I kept them. I mean, I don't think I'll ever wear them, but I just want to keep them. So it's
Mhm.
okay.
So some things are okay.
Hmm.
As and just making that assessment of you know what's okay to keep versus what am I keeping just for the sake of having it around.
And
um
that's yeah, and that's key. And that's key. And also knowing that it's okay as time goes on. And that's what I learned about myself. As time went on, I was okay with letting some things go,
mm,
you know. And then also I had to realize that things that she treasured, I didn't necessarily have to keep. For example, Benita, like all of my report cards. She had all of and which is really nice to kind of go through them. But I realized for myself, at this point, does anybody really care about what I did in the third grade? So I got rid of them last year.
you know uh, and and those are the types of things, like I know I have a little bin under my bed that just has all of like just stuff like for my kids and cards. It's like it's hard. I can't get rid of cards. But
I
after a
can't either.
while,
I
they
can't either.
like it's not like I'm necessarily going to go back and read them. It's just I feel kind of way, because somebody has taken the time to give me a card. And one of the things that maybe we can do is like take a picture of the card and
Hmm.
put it, and then we can recycle the card itself and we'll still have the message and put it in a frame, in a digital frame or something that
And that is true.
the messages can kind of
Hmm.
play,
Hmm.
on a loop of sorts
Hmm.
where we can really benefit from it, because it's not doing anything under my bed. But every once in a while, I might want to pull it out, especially like around the holidays when all the kids are home. My children are all adults and they're all out of the house, so when they're all home at once, every once in a while we'll kind of pull out get a little nostalgic. Um, but I guess recognizing when nostalgia in a way can become dangerous, and
Hmm.
where we can hold on to physical things as a way to escape dealing with some of the things in our minds around that piece of whatever
Hmm.
it is.
Hmm.
And so I think that our physical spaces have so much to do with our mental space. And it's hard for me to even get things done in a space that's cluttered. And then I
And
find myself just sitting there, just staring at the computer screen, and from the computer screen to the clutter. And just like, so okay, you found anybody yet though that can just like wave a wand or something and it
no,
just like.
no, that doesn't happen. That does not happen. But I do want people to know that it's okay to keep stuff, but when it gets to the point where you feel like it's overwhelming, then it's time to figure out if there's a better system to organize everything, or also is it time just to kind of let things go. And also, one of the things that can kind of help you really deal with it less on a little bit at a time is like when you do bring something new in the house, donate something or get rid of something. You buy a new outfit, look in your closet and see if it's something you haven't worn. Or sometimes people, they buy new appliances. The old one is just as good. Well, donate that, give it
Mhm,
away. So that can kind of be like at least a process of the beginning of it. So you don't always feel so overwhelmed with everything. And sometimes it's simple things. Like, for example, as we get closer and closer to the holidays, And then all other stuff, all the shipments and the deliveries and everything. Sometimes it's just getting rid of the box. You have taken the item out, you've put it together, you're deciding you're going to keep it. So, let go of the box, let go. And it's just like doing just little things. Like, so if you can find little things that'll give you that peace of mind, it doesn't necessarily mean you got to go and organize an entire room or even an entire house, but it's just little things. For me, I find comfort when I get up in the morning because, my dresser is at the almost like at the foot of the bed on the other wall. I wake up and I see the dresser and there's nothing on it. It just starts my day off. Or
Mhm.
when I come in and I look at my desk and it's like, okay, I can focus on what I have to do and not all the piles. Those are just little things that I do for myself. So it doesn't have to be anything major, me cleaning it out of closet and things like
Mhm.
that. And even sometimes when I do that, I get help because I need a friend to tell me, Jan, that's not coming back in style. And if it does, you're just not gonna look. And sometimes you
But
need that
they,
just a little
they
no.
say the styles come
I know
back.
they keep saying styles come back, and they do. But sometimes, do you want to, because we're all different, we go through different phases in life. And I tell people, think about the phases in life you're going through, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and above. And then even when you're single, then you get married, then you have the kids, and then the kids are off, and then so you think about all those different phases, and then all during all those phases, you in seasons, you need a different type of organizing system.
So it kind of ties in when you talk about needing like needing somebody, that friend or somebody that's going to be honest with you. I talk um a lot about, even for our mental health, that need to have like a village. And a village could be one person, it could be five people, but that person that's going to hold you accountable, that one that you know is not going to judge you, but is going to be honest with you in love, and tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. I think that's just so important in life, in decluttering our minds as well as our spaces. Having somebody to say, come on now, girl, that's not that in your lifetime, that's not coming back. So
Yeah. And even sometimes, mentally we get stuck in a place because years ago I had fibroids really bad. So I was conscious, so I would kind of like cover up with the clothes. And
Mm,
then I had a procedure, worked wonderful. And I was having lunch with a friend, and she said, Janet, why are you still wearing those clothes? She said, you're okay now. You don't need to wear clothes to cover up the stomach that's not there or the bulge that's not there anymore. And
mhm.
sometimes you need that. And you're right, you need that person in your life.
Yeah.
And that made me clean out my closet of a few pieces, Benita. So
Yeah, I mean, just having just those little small sort of tidbits at this.
hmm
I always thought, I talked before, I had an episode that talked about, basically just one step at a time.
that's it.
One step to better is what it was
hmm
called.
hmm
And
hmm
just that, I feel like that can transcend so many areas of life, that while we're trying to hurry up and make, we want things like, when I see the pile next to my bed right now as we speak, I just want to be able to snap my fingers and and say poof, be gone. But it doesn't work. I have to have the intention to, pick the things up and put them where they belong, because they all have homes. They have a home, but I just, and sometimes it's because you're just it's like you're tired.
hmm
But fatigue can also be a result of something that's happening mentally. So I think that in addition to just being intentional and making that decision that you want to clear the space, you have to be just as intentional to sort of get at okay, what is it that's causing me to put this on the floor as opposed to hanging it in the closet or putting it in the laundry hamper or whatever the case might be? What is at the core of why this is happening? And sometimes, you actually might need some therapy to get to that in order to get yourself to a place where it's not as hard to just one piece at a time sort of clean up a cluttered space. So I think about hoarders, for example. People who hoard, it's more to it than they're
Mhm,
just, you know, clutters, they're okay in a cluttered space. It's
mhm.
more to it than that.
Yeah.
And so, just sometimes we have to just really even take the step to find out what internally is happening that causes us to be in a place where we not only have a cluttered space, but we keep it cluttered, and like we add to the clutter as opposed
Mhm.
to going in the reverse.
And you're right because, like, for example, you had mentioned mail. There are some people who pile up mail because they're afraid to open it because they're afraid of what they're going to read.
Mm,
And they're afraid of
yes,
whatever the consequences are. And I had to tell somebody, you got to open your mail. You just have to open your mail because you
right.
have to, I understand that maybe you're at a place right now where you feel like, life's out of control, but that's a way you get control back because you can be proactive about whatever's going on in that letter. And I said, it's not always that bad. You just need to read it. And that's all you need to do. And, because some clients, they'll get these letters and I'll be like, it just says this, that, and the other. It's just a statement saying this is what you paid so we can file it away or we can scan it. It's not that bad. So you're right. A lot of times it is the mental, but in regards to just kind of moving forward, sometimes it might be just taking 5 minutes. It might be just taking 15 minutes just to move forward, just to do one thing, like maybe hang the coat up or maybe open, the one piece of mail that you've been dreading to open, but you need to open it because, you need to handle it. So it's just, and then sometimes even with that, is there somebody else who I can talk to about this?
Hmm. And even realizing that not opening the mail is not going to change the situation. So
Mm,
not opening the bill is not going to make the bill not be there. They're just going to send it again in a couple weeks. So we can't take the Fred Sanford approach. I'm a big fan of Sanford and Son. Don't judge me.
I like that too. I used to enjoy that show.
But there was one episode where he would just, all of the bills, he'd be like, put it back in the mailbox. or the bills, he would just kind of throw the bills in the trash. But but the bills are still going to be there. And if you don't confront it and deal with it, even if it means making a call to, the debtor and saying, listen, I want to pay this, but I'm having some issues right now where it's really hard for me and trying to work something out. At
Hmm.
least you've taken a step toward
Hmm.
trying to handle the situation. But when you just kind of, tuck it here and, throw it away or whatever the case might be, not handling the situation is not going to make the situation disappear.
Mm-mm. And it just relieves so much of that mental clutter too. When you open it up, you do, and you realize, oh, it's not that bad. Okay,
Right.
okay, and then you can move on.
Hmm. Just taking a step to look at it and say,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can handle this. I got
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yep, and that's
It's
right. And that's
okay.
and that's what it is. It's about taking control. And that's really what organizing is. It's about taking control of whether your space, your time, or just your life. That's what it's all about.
But what's interesting to me when you say that it's about taking control is that there are so many other areas in our lives where we want total control or where we think we want control. But why is it that, in the case of of clutter, and whether that clutter is in a physical space or if it's sometimes clutter for me is just all the stuff that I have to do in all the different areas of life. And so decluttering for me in those cases is like sitting down and literally like writing everything out and checking everything off as it's done, helps to kind of get that out of my head in another, in another space that's more organized and that I can actually see when I'm making progress. Um, and so it's interesting that most of us, I think, in some way are control freaks. We all want we all want to be in control, um, except in certain areas where we rather relinquish it or just not deal with, just not deal with things.
But what
Um,
you just described, a lot of people call it a brain dump, where they just get everything
mm,
out and just put it down on a piece of paper. And then also, a lot of times, I feel that sometimes we just don't realize once things that we want to do may take a little bit more time than we actually thought. Because
mhm.
sometimes you think, oh, it's going to take me 5 minutes. But in reality, it is going to take you maybe 15, it maybe even take you 20. And one of the things that you're finding is, it's a couple of things in regards to time management, is that one, double the time you think it's going to take you to do something. So therefore, if you think it's going to take you 10 minutes, just double it to 20. Because if you're done in 15 minutes, you're going to feel great. But if you say it's going to be done in 10 and it takes you 15, you might be a little overwhelmed, anxious, thinking, oh my goodness, stuff is going to happen forever. Also, they're finding multitasking has its place. Multitasking at work is really not a good idea. They say single focus, you get things done a lot faster. Now, multitasking at home, putting a load in, doing something else, but just be careful that you don't multitask too much, that you're not focused on things. As I tell people, for example, when it comes to laundry, let's plan the whole process out, because you got to put the clothes in the laundry in the washer. Then you had to take them out, you got to put them in the dry. Then you got to take them out, you got to fold them, and you have to put them away. Because what happens is, once they come out the dryer, they just go somewhere, wherever.
Lay in the basket on top of the dryer until for days.
So it's just like taking it to that next step.
Yes. Yes. I have a whole laundry system. The problem with my system is that it ends at either taking them out the dryer or some of the items that we hang to dry.
Hmm, hmm.
They go in the basket and yeah, they could be in the basket for a couple days until but either my husband or I decides, okay, enough. We need to enough going into the basket,
Hmm.
looking for
Finding
something
things.
like
Hmm,
it's time to just put them away.
hmm, hmm.
Um, but this has been a really good conversation because I just think that I think that this is more common than we might think, that there's a lot of clutter and people have a really hard time sort of figuring out just how to manage it.
And I
And
think,
and
yeah, and
then
I
you
think
just
it's,
get to a place where you just kind of don't and
yeah,
you
and I
just
think
sit
a
there and
lot of
look
that
at
has
it.
to do with perfectionism. Some people feel that there's a perfect system, and they're really, the system, you create your own system. It doesn't have to look like it for everybody else. I mean, we've got social media, we've got Pinterest, we've got all of that, but you have to really create a system. The goal of organizing is not about how a space looks, it's about function. So if
Mm,
you can put your hands on something the first time, that is great, because I know we all know somebody who we may not think is organized as we thought they were, but when you ask them for something, they can give it to you within minutes. And you're thinking, wow, you found,
organized chaos.
yeah. So it's not about how a space looks, it's about function. So if you can put your hands on something, and just remember, just putting things back. That can be, when you take something out, you put it back. When you open something, you close it.
Oh, that right there is another pet peeve of mine. But that just those little steps. And knowing that I like what you said, that it's not about how a space looks, it's about function. Because so if your home doesn't look like, something out of Better Homes and Gardens, like Janet Taylor's place,
Thank
having
you for me.
magazines coming wanting to do articles on because your space is so beautiful. It's okay. As
Oh.
long as it is functional
Hmm.
for you, because you're the one ultimately that has to live there. And I think it's the same thing with our mental health. Like, we are the ones that have to live with these minds. And so our minds need to be able to function. And when we when our minds are so filled with clutter and we haven't figured out a system for getting the clutter out, whether it's writing things down that's jumbled up in your head, whether it's talking things out with a counselor or a therapist or whomever, your best friend, or whatever the case might be, when we haven't figured out that system for ourselves, that is when it can be detrimental to us. So, we are our own perfectly imperfect individuals, created uniquely on purpose. And so our spaces don't have to look like somebody else's. Um, but they do need to be functional for us and for what we need to do and how we need to carry out our lives. So I think that is such a great point, that we just want to, that's one of those nuggets that we want to grab hold to, and just remember and know
Hmm.
that we're not alone. Everybody has some clutter
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, we're
A-
yeah,
a-
we're all dealing with it, all of us.
and so, knowing that we're not alone, but knowing that there are some steps that we can take towards decluttering,
Hmm.
um, if we're intentional about it.
Yeah, and it's just being intentional. It's being intentional and not being putting too much pressure on yourself. Like, for example, saying, you know what, I want to get organized by the end of the year. The holidays are coming up, and you want to enjoy the holidays, and you want to enjoy family and friends, and you've got all
Mhm.
these things. So, maybe even if you just did like a shelf, or maybe, how about let's get rid of those junk drawers?
See, now
I
you're
had to
asking you're asking a little too much now, Janet.
I had to throw that in. I had to throw the junk drawer in. Just get rid of a junk drawer by the end of the year. Just think about that. One drawer. That's it.
But then what are we going to do with the drawer? But I
What
mean,
do you
what
mean?
else? What else is the drawer
You give
for?
each drawer purpose. Like, you have, you got your utensil drawer in the kitchen. Then you
Hmm.
just give your drawer a purpose. Like, is it going to have office supplies? Is it going to have, maybe some small tools? Is it going to be a drawer for just all of your things? Maybe you do arts and crafts and things like that. Give the drawer a purpose and only put things in there related to whatever it is. Because what happens in junk drawers, everything goes in there.
But why can't the purpose of the drawer to be to hide the junk?
Well, see, I know what happens. See, what happens is the doorbell rings, or you realize, you know what, they're coming over in a few minutes, and you just open the drawer and put everything in there. And that is what, and that's what happens. But even if you just get a drawer organizer and just have compartments for all the things that you want to keep handy. It doesn't necessarily, you may want to keep things handy because of where the drawer is located, and that's fine. Just use
Mhm.
organizers.
Yeah, I mean, it really does make life better, because when you
Mhm.
open that drawer,
You
it's
wind
like
up pulling everything out anyway, because you got to figure out, wait a minute, I know it's in here somewhere.
it's in
So
here
you wind up
somewhere.
pulling everything out. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, Janet, is there any other nuggets you want to leave with us before we close out this night of Mind the Mental?
Well, I just want everybody to remember 80% of the stuff we keep, we never reference again. And we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. And also just create your own retention schedule. Once a year we have to do our taxes. That's a great time to decide what paperwork and information you do not need. And I would suggest you talk to the person who's doing your taxes, like, what can I get rid of? Because that's what I do. I text the person that does my taxes, which year can I get rid of now?
Mm,
And then also, seasonally, we always think about clothes, but a lot of people, they decorate their homes seasonally. So what don't you need? Whether you're doing the
mhm.
spring, the summer, the winter, the fall, what don't you need seasonally, whether it's clothes, decoration, etc.
Great, great advice. And I'll let you know how I do with it.
Please keep me posted.
I'll keep you posted. Tell people how they can, how they can connect with you if in case they might want to utilize your services.
Well, of course, you can always find me at my website, which is janetmtaylor.com. And of course, I am on Instagram at Janet the Organizer, as well as TikTok as Janet the Organizer as well. Had to put that in because, the godchildren, they're the ones who encourage me to get on TikTok. So I got to put that out there. Like,
You gotta have somebody from the younger generation in your corner to kind of keep you abreast of
yes,
all the
yes.
things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, Janet, thank you so much for sharing with us tonight and for giving such pertinent and timely advice as the holidays are coming up and as people are going to be trying to redecorate or um, declutter areas, whether it is mentally or physically or both. um, we can use a lot of the tips that you gave us here. So thank you all for tuning in, and for those that might be tuning in to the replay, go to my YouTube page at Benita Weathers 329 and subscribe to the channel, and you can watch all the Mind the Mental Monday episodes there. And I also want to invite you to join me on November 4th from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be giving a free virtual event where I am reintroducing my book, The Scream Within: Mental Health and Clergy Marriages, Journey of a Pastor's Spouse. If you haven't picked up the book yet, please do so. Go to my website, benitaweathers.com, and pick up a copy and join me on November 4th and, ask me questions that you might have about the journey. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all there. And I look forward to seeing you all next Monday on Mind the Mental Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook Live and IG Live. And make sure you declutter your mind and your space. Take care, everybody. Good night.